How you doing, people? It's David Laury here with Daniel Robinson on Where Amazing Happens. Hope you guys have been doing well. We're gonna start the show today with a question about the whole draft process that the NBA does, because there's so many different avenues, there's so many different ways to make an NBA team before the season starts. If you're an NBA GM right now with this summer process, how do you go about looking at players? What are your requirements or measurements that you would put first, or
Right.
what's your criteria basically?
Right. Well, first thing, I think for all GMs is probably skill set. The skill set and how's it gonna fit into this system. So you know what I'm saying. If you got a skill set that can fit into almost every team, like those are the main guys that's like top 5 overall picks and things like that. And the second thing is it's probably gonna be longevity. The player may be good for 1 or 2 years, but the next thing you know, he might end up being a bust. You know what I'm saying? So that's the one thing GMs are a little skeptical about, just to see how they've been playing in college. But when you get into the NBA, it's a whole different basketball game.
Yeah,
So,
I agree. The strength, the speed of the game, the IQ of the players.
yeah.
Everything has to be taken into consideration.
Right.
And me, if I was a GM, I like the way you said that skill set. Being able to fit into your team. Especially the first thing I would look at is my team's need.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Right.
of course, I know everybody does that. But a lot of these guys, man, they go analytics nowadays. Like, they want guys who fit the mold, the prototype. Okay, he's 6'7" wing. He has to have this certain amount of wingspan. He has to be able to jump this high, run this fast.
Yeah.
And a lot of times, I mean, in my experience of the game, those things don't always translate. But those are the things that the guys look at.
So do you think that GMs that's got the GMs that's got the top 5 picks in the draft, do you think they're looking for a person that's going to take their franchise to a different level?
Oh, without a doubt. Yes, I mean at top 5, yes, unless you lucked up and you're a really good team and somehow you have a top 5 pick through trading or things like that.
Yeah.
You have to look for that. I think you kind of look for that guy where you have to build around. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like Cleveland drafting Wiggins to trade him. See, people are so sold on like who's the best player sometimes, but that doesn't always, translate.
Right.
If I was Cleveland and I wouldn't have drafted Wiggins if I was trying to build around him. You already have Kyrie. That's who I want to build around.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Before I'm talking pre-LeBron.
Right.
And that's who you really would want to build around. So, you would get a piece like like I don't know, like maybe a wing that could score a little bit, but not anyone you'll have to say like, man, I have to build my team around him. You don't need that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You don't need that. And actually, in that case, Wiggins wouldn't have been that bad of a number 1 pick because of the simple fact that he could be that role player.
Right.
He doesn't have to be the guy who has the ball all the time. So sometimes, like this year's draft, Okafor is he's my number 1 pick.
Number 1 pick.
Impossible to guard 1-on-1 on the block. I mean, he's crafty around the rim.
Right.
He's a big body. He uses his body well. I think he gets off his feet pretty quick off the ground on his first jump. So, man, I would say Okafor.
So
You know what I mean?
let's say if the Knicks got the number 1 overall pick. Now their franchise player is Carmelo Anthony.
Yes, of course.
So how would Okafor fit into that system? Are they going to look for him just to be that inside presence?
See, it's so much different with a true post. Like Okafor is.
Right.
Not to say that he doesn't have those other skills, like to knock down mid-range jump shots.
Right.
He could put the ball on the ground. Not to say he can't do those things, but he's a true post in the sense that he wants the basketball on that block.
Right.
Every time.
Right.
But he's more craftier than the other bigs.
Right.
Like even NBA bigs, he's a lot more crafty.
Yeah, he's got a lot more moves.
He has like a guard mentality, but on the block. So it's and he's so big, it's hard to stop him.
Right.
But he can fit in with any team. He's a big. He's a true big, and he won't interfere with Carmelo. I mean, Carmelo will still get his shots.
Yeah,
it's
definitely.
It's a long basketball game, 48 minutes.
Right.
So he won't. I don't think he will interfere with any any team, and he can only help a team with a great point guard. You know what I mean?
Right, right.
So I think Okafor would be great. But another question I had was now try to look at that process through the eyes of the player. You know what I mean? A player. Say you're a player and you're going through, this whole draft process.
Right.
And what are the things that you would focus on the most to try to like show these teams? You know what I mean? Like what I'm speaking if you were a player.
If I was a player, like just looking at the draft board, it's like, okay, then you got to look at the players that's on that team, because if you have a chance to be those top 5 picks and you know what team they are, you can be like, all right, this guy. Say if I was like a small forward and the Knicks got like the 2nd pick, all right, you know what I'm saying, like I got to play against Carmelo Anthony, so I got to prove to these guys that, if I do get picked by the Knicks, I got to prove to these guys that not only I can back them up, but I can be on the floor with them at the same time. You know what I'm
See,
saying?
a lot of guys, I think like they try to prove so much, like that they could score or things like that, and these opportunities that are given in like the combine or
Right.
the Portsmouth, PIT guys, because everybody that's invited to these camps are good
Yeah.
players, and a lot of these guys average 20 points, and they get to these camps and they think they have to touch the ball every
All the time. Nah.
Yeah, but these a lot of times these NBA teams want to see guys who can play along with people. Like you
Right.
might be able to score. There's a couple guys down there that could score 20 points a game,
Right.
but you know what I mean, are willing to sacrifice and do the dirty work and score when their opportunities come. And I think a lot of NBA teams, look at that.
Right.
And there's so many different avenues, man. People need to not get down on, not being drafted, even though, being drafted is a spectacular thing that you won't be able to put into words. But there's so many different avenues, summer league, different opportunities to make
Right.
an NBA roster before the season, man. And I think guys just need to just keep at it. The NBA is just so hard to get into because how analytical it is now, and rightfully so. I mean, the numbers back up the production
Right.
a lot nowadays. I was just thinking, like, back in the day, like, how would Charles Barkley, not on the court analytics, but like off the court analytics, be looked at today? The guy was like 6'4.5", like 265 pounds.
Yeah.
Like,
And
not your
playing the
prototypical
four-man,
playing
yeah.
the foreman and dominating.
Yeah.
And
Like,
dominating.
that's
I think if
crazy.
you're a basketball player, you're a basketball player. But that's all we have for today. I'm David Laury,
And I'm Dan Robinson.
here on Where Amazing Happens. We'll see you guys next time.